Industrial Revolution was a defining moment in history. Many things came out of the revolution, but very few were as defining as the steam engine. Many say the steam engine was the foundation of the Industrial Revolution. Those people were right. The steam engine was quite possibly one of the most significant inventions ever created. The steam engine serves many purposes, but is mostly known for powering the steam locomotive, steamboat, and its use in factories. The steam engine has many additional uses for its functionality and contributed to numerous historical events, one of which was the prominent steamboat the Titanic, which was powered by the steam engine. In 1698, Thomas Savery, an Englishman, created the foundation for what has become the modern-day steam engine. Savery applied some of the same ideas of Dennis Papin's pressure cooker to his steam engine. He wanted to do this to solve the conflict of flooded mines. Savery was the first to make the necessary connection between steam power and atmospheric pressure. His steam engine utilized pressure steam to operate. Savery claimed that the machine would raise water by fire. The simple engine relied on steam to create a vacuum and pull water upwards through a pipe. This theory had existed for centuries, but never successfully incorporated into any inventions that utilized the possibilities of the concept. It was then that Thomas Newcomen improved the technology of steam engines with pistons and cylinders. One of the most beneficial improvements he made to the engine was he enabled the machine to function on its own. Newcomen made this a possibility when he ameliorated the engine so that there was a vacuum that was created by the condensation of steam back into water. Despite his accomplishments and contributions to the success of the steam engine, his excellence was overshadowed by James Watt's huge technological advancement of steam engines in the mid-18th century. Watt's most advantageous upgrade was the addition of a separate condenser to Newcomen's engine. This caused the steam to condense in a separate vessel rather than the condensation occurring within the cylinder. This sustained heat energy that was lost from frequent heating and cooling the cylinder. His separate condenser spared 75% of the fuel that was extended by the engine itself prior to this addition. This enhancement led to a new era of steam engines and the potential of the impact that the steam engine could have and did have on the world. The new and improved steam engine gave the industry a new approach, which was the main reason for its prosperity during the Industrial Revolution. Watt, however, was not given credit for the invention because of the machine's foundation already being set in place by previous inventors. Watt's addition ended up being the single greatest improvement ever made to the engines. Mr. Varville, an engineering teacher at Drake High School, was very knowledgeable on the concepts and operation behind the steam engine. Mr. Varville stated the functionality of how steam-produced power starts from the fire heating water, producing an expanding steam that will push if it's placed in a confined area. The rising steam pushes on a piston rod connected to a crankshaft, which results in the movement of the shaft. In a steam engine, there is numerous shafts moving at once, which causes the wheel to move. Based off this concept, there is always a competition to improve upon fuel efficiency, energy used, and the power produced. This was where Thomas Newcomen incorporated the pistons and cylinders to enable the machine to work on its own. It has been said that the Industrial Revolution would not have occurred or made the impact that it did without the steam engine. For an invention to be said that it was the foundation of a time where the economy and society rapidly grew, then this invention, the steam engine, would have one of the most positive impacts of any invention created. The steam engine overcame many limitations that prevented the industry and society from becoming prosperous. It was not until James Watt's version of the newly enhanced steam engine that the industry thrived and limitations of geography and transportation were no more. The newly modified steam engines were now used indoors in the factories. This assisted the industry of metalworking, textiles, and the rotating wheel system. It was the advancement of steam power that boosted the Industrial Revolution and was responsible for the positive impact that it had on the world. Factories dependent on the wind and water-driven machines were limited to where they could be built to function. Steam enabled factories to operate in any location. By the early 1800s, high-pressured steam engines had become compact enough to become involved with transportation. Watt's changes to the engine caused its production and usefulness to catapult in the 1800s. The steam engine became the most important aspect of the Industrial Revolution and was responsible for the boost in the economy and industry. It was becoming a frequent source of travel on railways, paddle steamers, and steamboats. Transportation was evolving into a whole new speed that humankind had never seen before. Richard Trevithick designed the first steam locomotive. The steam locomotive was a huge benefit to the economy in Europe because of the edge that it had on prior transportation. Distribution from the factories to cities was not only less time-consuming, but the volume of the produce shipped was in much larger quantities than before. Steam trains transported materials to factories as well as delivering the manufactured produce such as iron, steel, and textiles. The United Kingdom's industry led to the escalation of trade because of this dual transportation. As the newly installed steam railways expanded, the United Kingdom industrial output also had a significant increase. The United Kingdom manufacturing output was ahead of others due to the steam engine. The advantage of the steam engine triggered the escalation in economy, industry, and society. Cities became the center of attention, causing many people to hop onto the mainstream and live their lives during the economic sufficiency. Society altered to the economic boost, which led to the middle class becoming more wealthy. The invention of the steam engine had a very dramatic impact on Europe, and the reason for the opulent economy of the United Kingdom. The successful industry was also one of the most dominant in the world because of the steam engine impacting the Industrial Revolution in a positive way.